Greetings to everybody. I just got back from vacation to the Seattle area, and I wanted to make this video so that I could tell you all about my vacation in just a very short amount of time. Nobody likes to look at a whole bunch of pictures, and that's what I'm going to subject you to for just about 5 minutes. Actually, this is the first of 2 videos. The second video will also be about 5 minutes. We're going to talk about Seattle first. My mom and dad and I met at the airport in Seattle. First thing we did was go to the Space Needle, and here's some views from the Space Needle. And there's mom and dad right now. I like the Space Needle. I've been to Seattle a few times and had not gone up to the Space Needle before, so that was a new thing. Here is the sculpture park, the Olympic Sculpture Park, pretty cool place. The Pike Place Market is a well-known spot in downtown Seattle. Mom and Dad and I didn't have a very good time there. Shopping, we don't like shopping all that much. So we're going to meet a cousin of my dad's on the island of Bremerton, and so we took a ferry. There's lots of ferries in Seattle. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I had visited Seattle before. And here's some footage from our first ferry ride on vacation. The funny thing is that when we finally got to Bremerton and met this relative that I didn't even know I had, we had a very enjoyable time. He's a nice man and a nice wife of his, but I didn't take any photographs of them. I just took a photograph of this crab. Pretty cool. Here's the ferry ride coming back into Seattle. We kind of got in there after sunset, so I wasn't able to get a good picture of the city as the ferry arrived. Okay, here's the next day. We took a trip to the Boeing aircraft manufacturing facility in Everett in the state of Washington. And we toured the factory. It was a pretty big place. It's a factory. Exciting in its own way, but the highlight of the trip was to see this Dreamliner, a airplane that was specially manufactured by the Boeing company to transport pieces of jet across the world to Everett, where those pieces are then assembled. Okay, after the Boeing plant, we go to the campus of the University of Washington. During my graduate work, I visited the UW campus about 4 times and lived nearby. I wanted to show Mom and Dad what a beautiful campus it is. And then at the end of the day, we took a bus back down into downtown area, and here is a picture from the underground tour. The Bill Speidel's underground tour is in downtown Pioneer Square area. It turns out that Seattle is built upon former foundations of buildings that still exist back from the days when the city was founded. We were tired out though after that day, and so we took the monorail back towards the Space Needle and then eventually onto our hotel. So our last day in Seattle had us take a taxi cab to the Amtrak train station. We hopped on a train and went down to Portland, Oregon, where we were to meet a friend of my dad's. Now, this friend of Dad's is an elderly gentleman, and we enjoyed having dinner with him. And we also heard about his previous career. He was both a minister and also a clown. And so he graced us with a gift of clown noses for me and my dad and my mom. And this is something right here, because I didn't used to like clowns. I used to cry when I saw clowns, but here I am. I'm wearing my clown nose just for him. We didn't have to wear the clown noses during dinner though, so that's a good thing. All right, so we didn't spend much time in Portland at all. We just visited Dad's friend, and then it was on the road again to a place called Mount Saint Helens. Perhaps you've heard of it. It's a big volcano out there that blew its top, literally, in 1980. And we drove up to an observation point, and here's what we saw: a bunch of clouds. And so it was very pretty, actually. Lots of fog and lots of wildflowers to admire. Seeing not much of the mountain, we went down the mountain again in our rental car and appreciated the wildflowers down further from the mountain in an area that was exposed to the explosion back in 1980. So the land really hasn't recovered all that much in the last 3 decades. Nice wildflowers, sure, but a lot of dead standing trees. And the river valley is about 200 feet more shallow than it used to be. It got filled in with a bunch of mud and dust when the volcano exploded. Moving further on to another observation point of Mount Saint Helens, you can see the utter destruction, the dead standing trees, the valley that well, it's just like another planet, really. Oh, here is a lake that it's called Spirit Lake, and part of the lake is filled in with a whole bunch of dead tree trunks that are left over from the initial explosion in 1980. They have not rotted because when the mountain exploded, it killed everything, including bacteria and fungus, and so that wood has taken many, many decades to decay. And here's a climb up another vantage point that Mom and Dad and I took from another part of the visitor center. And it was still pretty cloudy. We didn't get a very good view of the mountain, but it was a pretty fun climb of the stairs. So stay tuned for video number 2. This will cover Mount Rainier and the Olympic Peninsula and end with Victoria, British Columbia.